Hi, this is Malin Johnson, and we're with On the Bricks, the TV show from Main Street Guyman, and today we're going to have a discussion with quite a few of our community leaders about the importance of shopping local. And we're going to be led by Sally Hawkins from Bank of the Panhandle.
Our goal today is to just talk about how do we encourage people to shop local. We've got some seasoned retailers who have lots of experience on what works, what doesn't work. And then I've done some research on what some other communities do as far as kind of shop local coalitions or small business coalitions go. And we just want to talk about what can we do to encourage that shopping local. And we know you guys all know the benefits of local shopping. We won't harp on those too long. Depending on the source you look at, for every $100 that's spent locally, roughly $60 to $70 stays in the local economy. If it's a branch or a chain, roughly $40 stays, and then if it's online, virtually nothing except maybe sales tax if you got lucky and they're collecting use tax stays. So obviously there's tons of incentive to that shop local, and we have lots of great local businesses. Does anyone, do you guys have any, what's worked for y'all in the past? Y'all have been doing this for a long time.
It's tough. I don't really have any confidence for good people to shop local.
I don't think there is really not a formula. I mean, you can somewhat educate people, but I mean, they're going to do what they want to do. I mean, I think you just have to. I think the thing that is probably the most important is customer service. I think that's the thing that we can do and improve on probably better. You know, I think we all strive to do that. If you don't, you're not going to be here very long. But, you know, even as long as I've been here, sometimes I feel like we fail, and, you know, because I think sometimes people know us, you know, and I think sometimes that's hard. But
Susan, we were just talking about what works for our local retailers, what has been something successful that has sort of kept that shop local on people's forefront. Do you have any thoughts on what you've done to stay successful?
I think we all need to actually work together, because the more initiatives that are, you know, if I was just the only one open downtown, nobody's going to go down there. So
certainly
it has to be more of a concerted effort. If I did like a small business Saturday, whatever, if I'm the only one doing it, it's not going to work out. So we have to work together.
I did some research online. I'm sure you guys have heard Liberal has it's called Liberal is Awesome, OZSOME, which I've heard that for a long time. I thought it was AWESOME, so it's even more clever than that. So Liberal is Awesome, and it's local businesses, and they come together, they pool their funds, and they use it collectively for marketing and radio ads, things like that, trying to encourage, as opposed to everybody doing a separate radio ad. You get more power in the, like you said, working together and that team spirit. So is that's Liberal. Has anyone ever been to Portland, Maine? Okay, so Portland is kind of this quirky town, and they have a very local feel, and they do a ton of advertising. I have some friends that live there, but let me see if I can. So they have kind of signs all over that says, "Keep Portland independent, buy local." And so there's lots of options. Is that something that small businesses are interested in Guyman? What do we do?
Do they have a group that they, like a chamber or something? Or?
Yeah, so in Liberal, I think it's the chamber that does it, and sometimes there's this website called Amoeba, which sounds like a fungus to me, but it really stands for, yes, that's what I had that same thought last night, like an amoeba, it grows, American Independent Business Alliance. And so this is the little packet you can download, and it has a lot of information. I even think little signs like this are useful whenever we're traveling and we see something like that. I don't know, it makes you feel like you're
organic.
Yes. You're not going to the chain. You're not. And so there's this website. They have a lot of information. They have steps. They have checklists of how you can get started. And they've got lots of reasons why. Like I said, you guys know more than anyone the reasons why you need to shop local. So I think the question becomes, what do we do for Guyman? I think my personal opinion is that whether you're for the casino or against the casino, it looks like it's probably coming. And as a community, we have an opportunity to position ourselves to be well received and to kind of create this niche for ourselves as, you know, hey, you can come up here and you can come to our local shops and you can eat at our local restaurants and you can have a really great experience, or people will bypass our town and go straight to that casino and go right back to Amarillo or wherever. And so I think this is the time for us to come together and work together as a community. I don't exactly have the answer other than I think that needs to happen, and I think you guys are all here because you agree. So what do we do? Let's talk.
We need leadership, somebody who's gonna push that one agenda going. There's a lot of multiple small things happening, like our holiday open house. That's just a totally private initiative. We have our shop and dine. That's just us doing something. The cultural district is doing some little thing. Main Street is doing something. Chambers. But if there's no one leadership going in one direction, we're not going to have a concerted effort. We're going to have multiple different things going on. It's not going to be. We're not going in one specific outcome because everybody has different outcomes. And the other thing is we have to have our business on the table first, always, you know. So let's talk to the business people first, the ones who have the storefronts, and see what they want. Because sometimes, you know, like times that they're open, or, you know, if you don't coordinate with them, and then you do the projects, and then you're like, oh, they're really not open on that day, so.
So I know part of my passion for Shop Local is my mom had retail stores my whole life, and so she had 10 stores in different towns in the Panhandle. And one thing that Perryton used to do is they called it like Midnight Madness, and you stay. It's kind of sort of like y'all's swag bags and stuff like that. But the Main Street stores would stay open until 8 o'clock that night, and it would be in the fall or in the spring, and maybe do it twice a year, and just encourage people to come in. And they'd run some special sales, or they'd do a sidewalk sell, and all those Main Street businesses would come together and do that. And obviously, not every you don't have you're not going to lay people out on a table on the sidewalk, right? Yeah. You could. It'd be interesting. But code enforcement might not like that. So I know the Harvest Fest is coming up, and will businesses be open during that time?
Yeah, I really haven't focused on the businesses necessarily. That's not my area. I just know that we're going to be having a coordinating contest, culinary competition, and it's going to be during business hours. So we're going to have some vendors set up, and it's going to be on Saturday from 4 to 10 p.m. So a lot of the stores downtown are already open on Saturday from 4 to 5-ish, 4 to 7. So
when you have an event, this is realistic. When you have an event, I don't care which one it is, Harvest Fest, Ducks, I don't care. You're so busy planning the event and trying to get the information out that contacting 50 retailers to try to convince them to be in is not going to happen. Is not going to happen because retailers seem to all want to be individually contacted. Emails don't work. Have you found emails to work?
Not effectively.
Not effectively at all.
I mean, we do have our core, that respond, but for the most part, if you're trying to get information out to everyone, it is not, you don't have time. You could start right now for an event in February and not have time to contact everyone.
And I think that's something that the retailers don't. Rhonda definitely, she always answers. Jennifer always answers back quickly. I mean, you guys get it, but the core don't. They wait in their store and want us to come in, and we're both one person offices. So somewhere along the line has to be.
Most of them are too. Most of them are one people's store fronts too, and so that becomes a problem. And I'm not on my computer if I'm down selling on the floor. I'm not on my computer answering stuff too. So
I think the communication is where so much of it falls apart.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Something that as I'm hearing everybody talk, I'm wondering is there the email is, I can understand how email gets missed. I miss
Some
emails.
of them don't have computers that
they're not convenient. It cannot be convenient. What is a way that everyone could communicate? I know I've thought about, would it make sense to try to create some sort of a Facebook page? If you put together local businesses and you had a Facebook page and it could be used to push that shop local agenda, basically talking about, hey guys, there's Harvest Fest, and it would serve two purposes at least. One of which is you're notifying your followers, which is community members, that hey, this is going on, Harvest Fest is coming up. But then it's also a spot where you as small business owners would say, hey, there's this event coming up, and hey, there's an opportunity for us to set up a booth if we're not downtown, whatever. We can have are y'all still doing the booths?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So you could have a booth downtown. If you have, I know we have some people in town who have like an Etsy page that I would, if I can't find what I need in a local retail shop, I would like an opportunity to shop local online as well. And so to the degree there's an opportunity for that, is that something that y'all think would be helpful if you had sort of a one-stop shop location?
I think that would be helpful. Now this business group that we're forming today, this isn't just for downtown businesses, this is for all the businesses in Guyman, correct? Not just in the downtown district.
I think it has to be all of them.
Yeah. Equal opportunity
for me
everybody.
For me the focus is shop local, right? And so while the benefit to the local economy is not the same if you shop at Walmart as it is if you can shop at the Code or at Golden Crown or wherever. It's still there. It's still employees who get a paycheck who are coming back into the economy. And so I like the focus on shop local, but that's something y'all need to talk about. Is Aaron's the same as Shelby's? And is this one of the things this talks about is who is local? What does local mean? And that's different for every community. It's better for someone to shop in town than out, because at least you know that we're getting the sales tax, assuming that they're paying, and not everybody does, but they should. And so that's a question for you guys. What does that mean to y'all? Who do you think the focus should be on?
I mean, locally owned. I mean, if you live here, then that, I feel like, constitutes you as a locally owned business. I mean, I guess if you have multiple businesses in Guyman, you live in Texhoma, that's stretching it, but you're still living in the county to a degree. But maybe if you have multiple businesses and you live in California, you might not be local.
I still think we have to include the ones that aren't locally owned too.
Okay.
I mean, I love shopping locally owned first, but I don't know how many school organizations and events, Walmart helps too. So I don't think we discount them, and those are local people that you're talking to. They live here, they pay property taxes. So I think you have to include them all. The corporate tends to limit them more to involvement in they limit their community involvement more. You know, Bank of the Panhandle is going to be more, because it's locally owned, more apt to work with you locally than somebody outside. So they have their hands tied naturally. But I think we have to include everybody that is paying sales tax.
I don't know. I think we need to make a line somewhere. Maybe. I mean, if you include McDonald's and, you know, I mean.
Sort of make a line around the chain.
Around it, something, but it has to be like, I love, you know, Walmart gives a lot to the community, but, you know, they're kind of like, yeah, competes with the small local, maybe that's kind of.
And I think, guys, sorry to interject, and I think it's something that, sort of to your point, thanks for the camera too, Sean. I was sort of hoping to get over to avoid that piece. You know, Susan, to speak to your point, I don't disagree with the line being drawn, but I sort of think in the middle of the table too, Melinda, to speak to your point, naturally as a corporation, some of these businesses may have their hands tied, and so they wouldn't have that opportunity to participate. Mm-hmm. So I think it could just naturally work itself out.
Yeah, without trying, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know that if you expect something like this to come from the chamber or the Main Street, we are going to align with our members first.
Sure.
And so there's a natural thing on that. If you want everybody, you know, it needs to be, or locally owned, you have to be careful.
There's nothing that says it has to be all or none. And what I mean by that is Susan, I agree 100%. I love these signs. I think that those are really meaningful when we're I can't remember, we were somewhere and there were a bunch of little shops downtown, and they were more meaningful to me when they were local and we knew we were providing for the local economy. And so there's nothing that says we can't provide signs like this for locally owned storefronts or local. I mean, as opposed to an Aaron's, which I don't consider to be local, or Walmart, which I don't consider to be local. And so there's nothing that says you can't offer something to your locally owned and operated businesses that you might not otherwise offer to a chain, but that you can still have an opportunity to encourage that shop local on the larger scale. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a way you can work around both very valid points. We just have to figure out what it looks like and how it works for Guyman. And that's one thing this talks a lot about is every community is so different. And obviously Guyman is very different. We've got this tremendous diversity, and we've got to figure out how this works. And that's what the goal is. Mm-hmm. Can y'all see how we could work that through? I mean, I think about you a lot because Kent Quick is not local.
No.
They're not local, but you are. And so if you open, you know, if I'm picking, I would rather support you because you're 100% local mm-hmm. than Kent Quick, who is, say, 25% local. Right. But people don't even know that. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of our community doesn't know who are our locally owned. You know, Napa is a Napa, but Dustin Wing has lived here.
John David.
John David.
Jerry,
thank you. That's what I was looking for. Jerry does live here. I mean, they're locally owned and operated, even though they're in Napa. So, Rhonda, do you have a comment?
No, it just kind of throws me to the. I mean, I don't live here, so.
I think part of the problem is educating our community, because there have been local business owners that have come into my office and said that they don't want to shop locally because they can't find stuff. They're a business owner. So if you can't get your local business owner to shop locally, how do you get somebody to shop local? And so community education is very big, and it's very important. And so trying to combat that mindset is going to take a concerted effort from everybody. And not just the chamber, not just me putting out Facebook posts or Malin putting out Facebook. It has to be all business owners combating that kind of mindset. Because you're just going to be knocking on a brick wall until you start to see the difference.
And Rhonda, to your point, I understand what you're saying. I don't even consider you not being local, and so it's.
I don't live here either.
I mean,
I sleep in Hooker, but you know,
and
spend
so
all
you
my
have
time here.
that too, right? Is there? I mean, I don't think there's any clear. I mean, is there a mileage limit on how far you?
You never limit it, and that's why it used to be people would have campaigns like Shop Guyman, Shop Guyman, Shop Guyman, Shop Guyman, or Shop Local. When you say Shop Local, when you have all that around, who are you? How many of your customers come in from out of Guyman?
Most of them.
Most of them. Are you telling them to go back home? I think you have to be really careful how you market
you
it.
can.
Well, where do you pay this? Where do you pay your sales tax, Rhonda?
Here,
You're local.
Yeah.
lots of it.
Thank you.
That's what we like to hear. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
And sorry,
maybe
go ahead.
because it's a really fresh group, it's a good time to talk about. When I think about, limiting or defining and stuff, what is your outcome or your goal? What do you want to achieve by saying shop local? Is it increase sales taxes? Is it to improve local storefronts? Is it to, I don't know, what is our goal, common goal, and maybe that's where we can rally behind?
My goal is business retention. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to see the businesses that we have be successful. That's my goal.
Because it's hard right now. It's real hard.
I think it's always hard.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Yeah.
can tell you that from 2015 to 2016, sales tax was down 6.5%. From 2016 to current year 2017, we're down 5%. I can tell based on what we're paying in. Retail's tough. I grew up as like a retail brat, if you can call it that, and you guys have a really hard job. And I know, I understand how hard it is, but to me, there's a lot of value and there can be a lot of good in that retail and in providing locally for our community. Amazon, which I shop on Amazon if I can't find something locally, is this kind of beast that has worked its way into our local economy. And Kyle and I were talking, we really need to step back, and I think a lot of us need to step back and think, okay, is everything I'm buying on Amazon something I can't find locally? And go back through that and reassess. And for me, my goal is to remind everybody that wherever you decide to shop, that's where you're putting your money. And that was the conversation we had recently is, I think I can shop 100% in Guyman for Christmas, and that's going to be my goal this year. Whether it's giving out gift certificates for massage or manicure, pedicure, or whatever. I mean, going and buying Brighton, I think I can make that happen. And so my goal is to sort of cause a tipping point in our local economy and say, hey, these guys matter. I mean, and what y'all do, I know if I have to go, we're getting ready to try to get a soccer field built. And I can promise you where we're going to come ask for money and help is from our local businesses, because they're the ones who will help. Because Walmart might help a little. They're not going to cut a $10,000 check to a soccer field. And so that's really frustrating when the demographics of our town are so driven by one employer and we can't get them to give back in any significant way. But you guys are willing to do that. You guys are willing to help us make those things a reality. You guys are the ones who are serving on committees. That's what matters. That's my goal, Susan, is to get, as a community, us to kind of wake up and say, one, this is our opportunity. We know change is coming to Guyman. It looks like somebody in the government told me there's a 99.5% chance that casino is coming to town. And so if that's happening, what can we do now to prepare ourselves for a couple of years down the road so that when people come in, they can say, oh, you know what, there's all these cute shops. There's, you're from Gruver. I've had people from Gruver say, oh, we used to love to come up to Guyman. and there were all these neat restaurants, there were all these shops, and my comment is there still are, but for whatever reason they're not hearing it, they're not seeing it, and so they go to Amarillo instead, or to Liberal, or wherever.
Have a lot of urban business.
Some of that is also transportation issues. So if you fix a highway, it's going to improve.
Yes.
That highway there is a.
Roller coaster.
Yeah,
It's
this
worse
mo-
than that.
and this morning it was really bad.
It was
I'm
really
sure
It was dark.
with the rain. Yep.
Yeah. So that is a consideration.
What other goals do you guys have? I mean, what would y'all like to see?
Increase in business.
So one of the things the Amoeba group does is they show I'm sorry, I should have made copies, and I can make copies of these. Do buy independent, buy local campaigns make a difference? And what they show is the green is whenever you have a buy local campaign is compared to the purple when you don't. And so they believe you can certainly quantify the impact. And I know, Malin, I think you maybe sent out the deal on the Shop Local Saturday last year, and you were
Small
you
Business
kind
Saturday.
of Small Business Saturday. Thank you. And you tried to quantify the impact to the retailers, and I remember it being significant. Do y'all remember that? I mean, you guys would have experienced Small Business Saturday.
We did Small
Okay.
Business Saturday.
Was that helpful to y'all?
It slightly was helpful. We can be more aligned with it because it was happening, but we weren't really kind of together
Gelled.
doing it. But so it's just a little bit more
That's-
alignment in that area.
Once
And then
again,
the
I did the
day-
emails and
Yeah.
whether they checked.
Yeah.
And then the day after Black Friday
Yeah.
usually isn't.
It's a hard-
That's
it's a
the
hard
worst day
one
you
for
could
us.
have that shop.
For us.
So do you pick a different day? I mean, that's when American Express has picked it, right? But regionally, we're in the middle of nowhere. So if people are gone for Thanksgiving, they're gone for Thanksgiving.
Right.
They're not.
That's
They're
not
gone
good.
for Small Business Saturday too.
But Wow Boutique actually really worked with it, and they had their best Saturday.
Yeah.
I was just curious, like if the group, if you got a text, would that
It's sad but
would
true.
that help
Yes.
solve it?
It
You
would
can
with
set
me.
up
I do.
text.
I do. I think most people, if they don't have a computer in their business, they're probably not going to do anything.
'Cause there's a text tool out there that I use right now that's free, and
What's it called?
it's called Remind,
Okay.
and it's free, and in fact it works better all the time, and we do it with our business club because the students won't respond to an email either,
Yeah.
but they will respond to a text.
Right.
And now if I have their first and last name and their phone number, I can load it. I can just take it from a spreadsheet and copy and paste it into the Remind, and all of a sudden I've got 100 in there. And then it's as simple as sending a text from a computer or a phone, and you can schedule them if you want to.
Can you set up a different group? So could you have a small business
Yes.
owners,
Yes.
and then you could have
You could set
just
up. You could set
people
up,
who are interested in supporting,
you could-
like
I
a
mean,
supporters
basically
type
it's set
deal.
up. It's set up for schools, but you could they call it a class, but yes, you could have all sorts of different classes, and it works. I just find it keeps working better and better now it's got where they can text me back, and so
But does it include the whole group? Or
like if they text me back, and then you can just text individual if
Okay.
you want to, but as a owner of the whole thing, you can just shoot it out to everyone, or you can shoot it out to just small portions of the group, or you can make different groups. I really like it because you can do it from your computer and you can schedule it, and then it has apps for your phone, so you can do it from your phone if you want to. But then if you're just receiving the text, it just comes across as a text message.
That's good.
How many
of
of
the schools have used something like that? as
So
far
a
as-
lot of
yeah,
schools
they
use
it.
Remind too, and coaches. You'll
Yeah.
find cute
Yeah.
coaches use it.
how many of you guys have a social media presence? I know you guys do. Yeah. Do you think you will?
She has a page set up and everything.
Ah, I've
Seems
missed
to be the
it.
way to
I gotta go check it
advertise.
out.
Yes, some places it's Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think again you go back to your regional impact.
Well, and that's what, you know, I think most people think, you know, Facebook is still kind of, everybody uses Facebook now. If you want to reach the younger kids, Snapchat's where you need to be. And I don't know enough about Snapchat. Catherine, do you use Snapchat?
Yes.
And so Snapchat, you can build films, and I assume Shelby used.
You can, with Snapchat, you can even create multiple stories. Like, I have friends from Iowa and Minnesota that are also ag people. So I have a special thing on my Snapchat so they can see irrigation and us gathering cattle, because that is done so differently here than there. But then my friends who don't care about anything ag related don't have to see that. Like, they can just see how cute my dog is. From the business perspective, that could carry over to all the people that follow you on Snapchat. When you're focusing on your business instead of blasting your personal friends, you can have that for your business. Like the Shop and Dine events. If I saw the Shop and Dine over my lunch hour, I would remember it versus the 50 notifications I have on Facebook. I think Snapchat is super visual, and you can do a video of the super awesome, cute things you have in your store at that time. The filters. We just got back from vacation in Oregon, and even the national parks have geocodes. We went to Hug Point, a beach, and I was able to take a picture of Snapchat on the beach and put a filter on that says Hug Point, Oregon on it. That way, when you have customers in your shop that are trying on clothes and they take a picture of how awesome they look and put it on their story, they can put the filter on that says, I'm in Merle Norman in Guyman trying this super cute outfit on. I'm in Golden Crown picking out Fiesta wear for my wedding. Come buy me this Fiesta wear, and it's in Guyman. There's a lot of opportunity to do. It's not free. I mean, I'm sure those filters all cost money, but your customers are going to be doing advertising for you.
Yeah, the bank, obviously we're not retail in the sense you guys are, but we have identified that our money is really better spent, one, giving back to the community, and two, being out there on social media, being out there cooking. I'd rather cook hot dogs than run an ad in the newspaper. The newspapers circulation is down. I suspect it will continue to go down as there's this generational shift. And so some part of local shops are so important to our local economy, just like local banks are. A community bank is critical to a local economy. If you take all of the community, but if you take Citibank Anchor and Bank of the Panhandle out of our local economy, MidFirst isn't super interested in making commercial loans in Guyman. That's just the reality of it. And MidFirst is a great bank. I don't have any problem with them, but that's the reality of it. The same thing with local stores. We need our local stores. And so and part of it's how do you address that generational shift, that millennial shift, because they do things differently than my parents do. And so I think there's lots of opportunity. Malin, was it you or was it Paul Montgomery that was talking about the you can hire people to come in and help set up businesses? Do you remember we talked about that last week? That some small businesses come together and they hire. Do you remember this? No. I think it happened.
Like a social media coordinator?
Well, yes, they can help you get set up on Facebook and stuff like that, but they can also come in and help you look at the layout of your store and hey, was that you? Okay.
Yeah, the state Main Street has resources where they'll come in and look at talk about your layout. They have an interior decorator, layout, design, lighting. We also have an architect that can help.
Free, is that right?
Free, yeah.
So there may be resources we don't know exist that we can pull from as well.
Do they have a deal that does social media, do you know?
Yeah, they have one that'll help you. But honestly, I mean, I love the state people, but we've had Paul Montgomery do social media workshops, and he was just as good or better because he knew Guyman.
Right.
But once again, we didn't have much attendance.
Well, and that's what I remember once, because we talked about just like doing reviews on Google and different things, and we were going to help people set up their stuff, but nobody came, you know. And, but,
I mean,
know,
you can't help people that aren't there.
And if you're the one shop owner, you can't leave the shop.
That's
Shelby,
one
do you-
of the bigger problems.
With like what you're talking about, Facebook Live, there's lots of resources to set up webinars where if they have a computer in their store, they don't have to physically be present. So to watch a recorded webinar or at their leisure, or even just sit down for a few minutes and catch Facebook Live while they can, and then when a customer comes in, go back to it later and finish.
I don't like webinars, and I don't think anybody watches them. And I mean, to me,
you have to.
My idea is that if you want people to help them set up, you just walk in the store and you have to help them.
But even
and you take the laptop with you, and you say, okay, let's put your address in, and let me do your first review.
okay, we
You
just
know?
did that. We just did that.
Okay.
Yes.
We know that when someone's coming down the highway and they're gonna want to find a Italian restaurant, whatever, they're gonna go in, type in Italian restaurant, right, and it comes up on Google. Only a lot of our businesses in town are not on Google.
Right.
And so one of our transformers, Main Street Transformers, his community project was to go to some of the Main Street members and get their presence on Google then. Jennifer, you did it. How did
I
it
did.
go?
It was awesome.
And he came in
He
with
came in with his laptop. He did everything for me. And it's funny because I had just got off the phone with a gentleman from Google. And after I spent probably 30 minutes on the phone with him, he tells me he wants to charge me like $300-400. I said, you should have told me that up front because we would have already been done. And then this young man came in and was so polite. I mean, he knew what he was doing. You know, I'm old school. I don't know the computer real good. And
he contacted 6 businesses in
Awesome.
Guyman, Main Street members. 3 of them told him they didn't want help. And he only contacted ones that were not on there. So even when you walk in with your
yeah, they missed out.
Well, I think
Yes.
to speak to David's point and to Susan's point too, where communication's a key. Communication's a huge issue. Working together, Susan, having some leadership. I think this will take some time to physically walk into those businesses. But once you start that process and you say, okay, I walked into these 8 businesses and 3 of them said, no, I don't want any help. Okay, great. These 5 did.
right.
There's going to be some
how do you
short-term
do
pain.
that?
Well, you figure it out and you don't give up. You just keep doing it. And there's going to be some short-term pain, but once you get everybody on the same page, then to speak to David's point, you get to go, okay, guys, this is how we're going to do this when you have that first initial meeting. I'm going to send you a text. We're going to have a local initiative, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to come together. We're going to have this meeting. You're going to have some short-term pain getting everybody coming together to figure it out, but once you do it, it will be good. It will work. You just have to experience those growing pains and keep moving forward with it.
Is social media something everybody would like more information on? Shelby, do you boost your posts when you do social media?
No, I normally do a giveaway, which works way better than any kind of a boost. Like, I will give a free massage away if you share my post. I'll put you in a drawing, because I have paid before, and yeah, it does reach a certain vicinity. Like, you can even like go in and see how far out you want to go. Like, I can put Groover or Liberal in the radius for my ad, but normally just the word of mouth and people posting it on their personal page and sharing it, I feel like I have a better turnout. I've had my Red Cord massage for 3 years, and every year around Christmas I do a big giveaway. The first year I did boosted posts, and it worked out okay. And then the last 2 years I've done giveaways, and I felt like I've had way bigger turnout and way more profit coming in and more gift certificate sales.
Is that just Facebook?
Yeah, just Facebook.
Do you do Twitter?
No. I'm probably the most like uneducated on technology 23-year-old you ever meet. Like, I don't know anything. I barely know how to work Snapchat.
So that's just strictly Facebook. Then.
Strictly Facebook, yeah.
But you get a ton of likes and
Yeah.
So she'll say, you know, hey guys, we're gonna do a giveaway. You need to like my page and share this post or whatever.
Like, comment, share, and then all the comments I go through. It does take time personally to go through and make sure that people have gone through and done the 3 steps for them to be entered in the drawing. And then I normally just kind of go up and down like a crazy person, or I have someone go up and down and just pick somebody off of my list. And that's kind of how I do it. I would like to know from older, my generation, we're very social media, we have an online presence. I want to know, how do you guys advertise before Facebook? Newspaper, word of mouth, and flyers, and that was it?
Newspaper,
Church.
radio.
Church.
The news, in Groover, I would say one of the church or like the post office.
Yeah.
Everyone goes to the
board.
post office, so if you want something, you know, when I walk in the post office, I read every
Read the
flyer.
bulletin board.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's whenever your mail is delivered at the post office. So these people that
Right.
have a
In Groover, all the
Yeah.
mail's
Yeah.
delivered at the post office. So.
that's how my
That's
dad
cute.
finds out about people.
It is cute.
Yeah.
That's the way it is in
That's
Hooker
very
too.
local.
I read everything on the bulletin board.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have an online presence, but I also think it's really important to like have flyers out and keep things local. Advertisement, like I know the newspaper's really not a way to advertise, but I mean, whenever we do like Harvest Fest and stuff, like I'm about to go put out a couple hundred flyers in places, just because I believe that it's
Well,
so
the
important to do
newspaper's
that.
great for a certain age group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
wonderful.
If we're looking for CDs, we put it in the newspaper. If we're, if we're looking, I don't know, for something for people who use our remote deposit on their phone, social media. And so there is some of that. Okay, who's your target audience? And everyone has a different target, but there's a book called The Tipping Point. Have you read it? It's by Malcolm Gladwell. And it talks about the hush puppies. Do y'all remember the hush puppies? Shelby, you won't remember this. I don't remember it, so you for sure won't remember it. But yes, and so remember they were all they were all the craze. And so what happened? They talk about what the reason you had some is because someday, some urban kids started wearing them instead of their sneakers, and they took off like a rocket, and so they became all the craze. And then 2 weeks later something happened, or not 2 weeks, but some short period of time later something happened, and the next thing stepped in. And so it talks about what's required to cause a tipping point and encourage people. And that's what we need in Guyman. We need a tipping point. We need people not only on the shop local scene, but for our schools, for our soccer field, for whatever. We need people to care about our community, because you guys are really important to what we have going on. Social media, what other things? I think what I'm hearing is, yes, everybody is interested in something, depending on how that looks. We need to figure out what is that small local look and feel. Who do you include? Obviously, if the Chamber of Main Street is, y'all are going to open it up to your members, and that's certainly understandable. Is that something y'all are interested in, is working together on this? Would y'all rather it be through the Chamber and Main Street, or would y'all rather see something else for them? That means you have to have a different leader. We've got 2 people here who can manage that, but those are the questions we need to answer. I guess the question is, are y'all interested in, is everybody else interested in that being the
Well, we have a business committee through Main Street that certainly, if it went outside, then I think the member, we'd have a member of that would be involved, or if it wanted to come here.
I was trying to remember if I was on that committee.
Yes.
I know you are.
And you used to have a retail committee, didn't you?
We didn't have any participation,
So there used to be a retail committee through, and there used to be also a Guyman retail outside, a separate one that was downtown, pre-Main Street. There have been different things, and I think you do what's best for the moment.
Yeah, I think the goal is I'm going to speak for you. If that's okay. We have the same goal, that we have to build our businesses. It's okay. Don't be fair. Don't be feared. We have to grow our community and being adaptable, and willing to do what we need to do. I think that's what we're willing to do. I can say to do another time if I need to.
So maybe it's more of a maybe it's more of a 2 or 3 organizations coming together. And
I think that works the best for
And-
those things that I've done.
And just like this round of breakfast and business, Bank of Panhandle hosts it, but it's presented by Main Street, the Chamber, and Prezi, because it's for all retailers, and we know that we have different members, and it helped to promote it to all of them. So we'll work together. In fact,
And I'd love it for whoever takes it, but I'd love it to be a third party, because like right now we do shop and dine, but we all do our separate because we all have our own
you can do separate and
groupies.
togethers.
Yes, but I know it kind of confuses people in a way, because you have 5 different logos coming out of shop and dine, where, versus having something that's third party all in one.
do y'all think I've seen there's a bank in Edmond, and they do something called Herd on Herd, which is Herd Street in Edmond apparently, and they do a kind of a summer festival. So from May until August, the second Saturday they come out and they have musicians start playing about 2 in the afternoon, and they have a bunch of big games, and they have food trucks. They've got all sorts of stuff happening in their downtown district. Do y'all see a benefit from that when we do stuff like that locally?
Now, Arts and Humanities, I've only been with this group for a very short time, but we have a second Saturday that we have something going on in downtown Guyman the second Saturday of every month. And I mean, a lot of the times it's open mic. We had the firefighters come out one time back in June. We're having Harvest Fest for October, actually. That'll be our second Saturday. And I really think that it could be something really cool. We need more input.
Does that benefit our downtown shop? Does that benefit our shops? Do people get out? No.
Well, and I'm on that committee too, and I've been, I love the idea, but when we talk to our retailers, WOW is not open at that time on Saturday. They'll open at some point, but they're not open. Merle Norman closes a certain time on Saturday. We will extend a little bit. But that's why I'm saying, if you had the retailers up front at the beginning of the process, then we would figure out a way to work together quick, easier. And, I've mentioned it to them too. Because we didn't get a lot of, at least our group, on board for that. Some of us will be, but, obviously.
So what, then we just, better communication up front.
Yeah, with the
critical piece
retailers,
of
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Do you think a downtown initiative, kind of like Harvest Fest or like the Herd on Herd, could be beneficial to our local retailers?
Yes. Foot traffic is important.
Yeah. I know Main Street did a trunk or treat years ago, and it wasn't super well. What I was told, not from you, but from somebody else, is you tried it and it just didn't really ever take off.
we tried it 3 years that didn't work well, but Charlie, when Charlie and Rhonda did it years before, it was very successful. And I don't know what the difference.
We thought about this year. We thought about, because I think sometimes people perceive downtown as just, being something for somebody else. I mean, and we thought we would try to build a relationship with some different people, and maybe if we invited, all these churches have all these little trunk or treats, and so we thought we would maybe invite all the churches, and we'd start there, and it'd just be a fun evening. We didn't really think that we weren't doing it really to sell anything, just more to be open, to give out candy, just to kind of build that relationship with people. And when I talk to some of the churches are more interested in doing their own thing because they're marketing just like we're marketing. Yeah. So that's very understandable. So it was kind of like, okay, it was a great idea, but I knew I was beat. So
I really let, Bank of the Pit, we're sitting here on 12th and Main. We have this huge parking lot. I like the concept of trying to get a trunk or treat, and if you started here, you could work your way all the way down Main Street. I mean, we've got you've got Charlie, you've got lots of not just retail stops, but businesses and retail stops all the way down Main, starting at 12th and Main. And I don't know, I've heard the church deal. I don't know if there's enough interest to try something like that. Eventually you can shift the tide. Again, it's just a matter of what's it take, and I don't know that this is the year to try it, but I think things like that are out there. They give people something to do. It gets them out. It gets them out walking, and there's a big difference between when you're driving in a car and you're walking on the sidewalk. Yeah. You see things you didn't see before. Yeah. So there's, I don't know. Yes. I think there's lots of ideas.
Yes, we tried to do it this year, but again, we don't have the time and capacity to do it. If we could close out, a little bit of Main Street so that people can walk around. I want a dog costume parade. I know.
I mean, the problem with closing down Main Street, though, I've had you tell me before that it takes away foot traffic.
But if you're doing it only as a community service, then that's one thing. I mean, we're not, don't do it during, noon, know. But if you do it at the end of the day, like when people are, like say, even on Halloween anyway, by 4 o'clock our business is pretty much done. So say start at 4 or 5 o'clock and then go to, 7 o'clock. And I mean, I think people don't realize, people think we're just there to sell, which we are, but I think also they need to have a good feeling about when they come in your store also.
When that sort of encourages that, hey, it was fun when I went in there, I want to go back in, kind of. Something that we've talked about at the bank is instead of doing it on Halloween, do it the Saturday before when the PTSO, I think that's when is that what it's called, the PTSO carnival is? And then carry it through there. People are already out, they're already dressed up, and then encourage that. But I think there's lots of ideas and lots of opportunities. Where do we want to go from here? Do we want to try to reach out to more people and come together in a larger group at some point? Do y'all want to communicate? What's the best way to communicate with y'all regarding that? Is it the text messaging?
Text message or email?
I think this conversation has to continue. And I know, Randy, I see you over there. I think about PTCI, and PTCI has lots of stuff to sell too. I mean, obviously you've got your big ticket items, but y'all have got accessories and stuff that are cool. Good. Yeah, that are good to be mindful of, that they're out there, and so we've got there's lots of things in our town, just not everybody knows about them, and the shift away from newspapers and away from radio has been a part of that big disconnect. I know, lots of people listen to satellite radio. They don't listen to local radio. A lot of people have talked about Hitch. Does anyone listen to Pandora? Hitch advertise. Have y'all heard Hitch's advertisement? Yeah. So it's been incredibly helpful for Hitch in getting employees, and so I think about that, and I feel like there's been this shift, and nobody really knows the best place to advertise. At least we're constantly struggling with that. What have y'all seen?
One of the things that most people either are or aren't doing, and we've stepped out to do a lot of, is digital. Digital marketing, and we're also on Pandora and exploring other ways, because yes, your traditional media is shrinking, although it's local, most of it's local. We're talking about local, we know that market's going away, and we can't really get the return that we used to, so we're exploring different opportunities as digital. So digital is that thing that when you're searching for something online, and about 2 days later it pops up in front of your face, and it's been really successful for us. But we've also hard driven down promotions. You talk about a group of people, you have to be very committed about spending money to make this happen. And our budget is probably as large as anybody in town in terms of marketing and advertising, but we also went off and did a lot of deep promotions. Giving things away that just would totally blow people's mind. We gave these iPhone 7s away, which has really drove traffic. We reduced cost. You're driving traffic. But when those promotions were over, the parking lot emptied out. It's only as good as it is at the time that you're doing it. You've got to keep on doing it. And so, but yeah, we have lots of stuff, but we also have a lot of competition, just like anybody else. So we're the only really locally owned and operated. You have Vive and you have Dish and you have Verizon. They're all competitors to us, and we have to find our own voice in that market. And we lose. We don't have all the cell phones. We have a fraction of them. We have a fraction of the TV business because Dish or somebody else owns it. So we have a competition that's not really here either. And we have to find a way around it. And part of that is marketing and putting the money into it and sticking with it on an ongoing basis. So.
The game has changed a lot. I know, when there was one retail shop in town, when one place to get clothes, you either did that or you drove to Amarillo, 2 hours down the road, and now you can shop at 11 o'clock at night or 2 a.m. and it'll be there in 2 days. I mean, the game has really changed. And so, but there are communities whose retail shops are thriving, and I think that needs to be the goal for our community, is what do we do to get there?
I would like to see some sort of a directory made for all of the local businesses, like not just retail, but
I agree.
Welding, like Caleb back here is a welder and he does fabrication and millwright and steel buildings and stuff, and I don't know like how many people know of other people that do steel buildings or build any kind of things like that, or contractors or concrete companies or
just honestly
anything.
Getting your oil changed.
Yeah.
Who are your local players? Who's owned and operated locally? And that's not to say you shouldn't do business somewhere else, but at least be aware of it. Be mindful of it.
I would find it really interesting if we did form some sort of a directory or a phone book style thing where you can go in and you can see that it's Ma and Pa's locally owned. Mathis Oil is locally owned and they do oil changes and they can do monthly gas bills or whatever. It's just to show what they have just to see what they have. I mean, we're about to have a casino come in and we're going to have so many more people move to this town and they're going to have no idea of where to go. They're not going to have any buddies like word of mouth, I guess.
Does the chamber have anything like that?
They have a member directory.
I've seen a really neat deal in towns, like when we've gone to visit, is a map, and it's sort of like a cutesy map that's got little caricatures on it, and
we have one for the downtown district
Really?
of Guyman, and we have
I had no idea.
Spread out.
Not
Downtown district.
Okay.
Yeah, just the downtown district.
And that's a company that comes in and sells ads on it.
I've drawn my own before, so I'm glad to know there is one. Yeah,
there is one. I don't know much about
I
it.
should.
I finalized it whenever I started in on the committee. But yeah, we have them actually spread out all in this, not in Guyman, but everywhere surrounding.
Yeah.
And
Everywhere but Guyman?
Everywhere but Guyman. They have been. I think they have been printed. I've seen the examples before.
The last one I got.
Where do I get one?
Talk to Miranda Gilbert.
Got it.
The other thing I want to go back to what Rhonda said about the customer service.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk and talk and talk about bringing people in, but you have to
Treat them right.
make sure they're treated right.
Yeah.
I think the idea of customer service is an old used term. And so what people are looking for is the experience. They can shop anywhere, and so I think the ownership or management has to kind of give their own vision of what the experience would be for my customer, ideally, and then that's what you teach. This is what I want the customer to leave with. It is the experience.
For a small business, those are some of the functions that people really don't have time for to train, right? Because it's like, okay, get on the floor, get it done, get going. Nobody has time to do that. But maybe like trainings. Okay, that's kind of hard for small businesses to do. But if there's a mentorship program in a way, or somebody who can talk to I can talk to another business owner who's starting out to talk about things that have been effective. Everybody has their own tact toward customer service, but it takes that effort, because if they were concerned about customer service, they would have been training already, but that means that they didn't have the time or effort to do it. And so how do you get there in the least invasive way is maybe to mentor them, and maybe just
I know it doesn't have anything to do with pay scale.
No.
Because when I've done the surveys on Main Street Guyman's website, the two that consistently get named for customer service is Urban Brew and Dizzy Bees.